Okay, and so one of the questions I get, even from people who are not Christ followers, after we've shared these things, they'll say, "Well, what's the door, and how's that open up, and how's that all work?" And so this is what I'll tell them. Look, remember I said that I think the secret to all the damage that's in our memories, our mind, will, and emotions, and even on the inner part, even though Christ comes and He's full of acceptance and He's full of power, I have to somehow figure out some way to allow this new life that's come to live inside me, that's made me a whole nother person. I have to figure out how that's going to be released by God's design to influence my mind, will, and emotions, and to deal with all the damage in the hotel in my mind. Okay, well, it makes perfect sense. Well, okay, so what opens the door and what closes the door? It's really simple. This door opens up, honestly, with four simple words. After Christ has come to live inside a believer, I can't, but Lord, I believe you can. And what I mean by that is that at the moment when I'm being tempted to go think or feel a particular thing it's really got me in turmoil, and I'm headed to a place that I don't want to go, that I recognize that it doesn't suit me anymore because I'm a Christ follower, that at that moment when the enemy's tempted me, I can simply go to the Lord and say, Lord, I can't do this. If you don't do something, I'm going to go right back to the same way I've always done life, trying to do life on my own terms. Excuse me. And when that happens, the door to Christ's life opens up, and Christ's life begins to influence my thinking, my feeling. He deals with my old emotions, the old way I used to feel. And He doesn't wipe them out, but He actually makes it possible for them to come under control. When the enemy brings me ways of coping besides turning to Christ, He actually reminds me that stuff doesn't work anymore. He whispers to me, look, you're mine, and you're valuable to me no matter what happens. Even if you actually go ahead and do the wrong thing at this point, you're still mine. You're completely acceptable to me. But then He starts putting desires to do the right thing in me, and then gives me the ability, all because the door has been opened up. I'm telling you, the door is not a point of work. It's not something you have to do hard. It's just recognizing I'm under temptation. I'm thinking about going to a place where I never would have gone before, and I say, Lord, I can't do this. It's not about how strong you are, how tough you are, how mature you are. It's simply acknowledging I'm in a really, really crazy place right now. I could go to a very dark place, and I can't do this. And Jesus, I invite you to do what I can't. Now, the door actually closes as quick as it can open with Christ's life within. And it's just when you say this, I can fix this. All it says is I like the way I've been doing things. And the truth is sometimes we still want to do things the way we've been doing them our whole life. And while the Lord wants to move us away from that, the truth is He's not completely undone that I still want to do some of those things. And so when I do that, the door closes to Christ's life, and it's not that He leaves. I'm not any less acceptable. But for that moment, I have stifled the work of Christ in my life for this particular event. Now what happens is I'll go ahead and do the wrong thing. I'll sin. I'll do things my way. And He patiently comes to me after that happens and says, well, are you ready for me? His Holy Spirit, His life in me, still comes to me in the middle of even my greatest failures. And He says, listen, I want you. Why don't you come on with me and let me take you to a different place? And at that moment, I can hear and listen to what He's telling me. I can respond to what His Spirit inside me is saying. And I can respond to Him and say, Lord, you come and do whatever you need to do. The door swings back open, and Christ's life begins the healing work all over again. Excuse me. The reason I believe that it's important people understand that if they're asking those kinds of questions is I want them to understand two major things. That Jesus Christ did die for me to deal with the thing that people that have read the Bible before, that are acquainted with spiritual matters, call sin. It's this thing that has separated me from the God of the universe. And certainly he came to release that guilt from me. But the second thing Christ did is he came to deal with that nagging thing inside a person that says, I need love and acceptance. I need to know that I'm loved, I'm cared for, and that I won't be rejected. And that comes from connecting with him. And so the second thing, the reason I want them to understand this is because Christ's life within me already feels accepted, and he wants to move that from what's inside me to my brain so that I can actually begin to be free from being ruined by the people in my life that actually can have some control over me. And lastly, he wants me to understand that not only can I get healed up, but he gives me what I need for the moment to actually do life and experience what he calls life to the full. Again, thank you for this last and final word. You're so gracious to listen. Call if you have any questions.